We are live, guys. Welcome to episode 10 of The Weekly. And of course, your usual co-host, Mr. Juan Bagnell. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. I've got my coffee. I'm pulling up our sheet of topics that we're going to talk about because I've totally read over them already. And I'm
super ready.
All of the amazing things that we can talk about. And I'm familiar with most of these. Okay, good.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, let me turn this light so I can catch more of myself and some cool light itself here.
Ooh, look at that.
There we go. A little bit more brightness. There we go. Good. So let us jump in. Welcome, guys. Chime into the chat, all that fun stuff. And let's start off with the uselessness of the week, which I have to give to the SEC and the fact that now ISPs can sell all our stuff. Doesn't matter what it is, wherever they see fit. So remember, all that porn browsing you do, you might want to take it into, incognito. Just saying.
well, but that's just it. It's like even that necessarily won't be a protection against. So I mean, we're upset with the government in general. This is something where if we had a strong regulating FCC, that they'd probably have put up more opposition against a move like this. But this was voted on in the Senate. This was approved in the Senate so that ISPs can now take the data that they keep track of all of their customers and subscribers and do anything they want with it. It's their intellectual property. Your behavior is their intellectual property. And just like so many other institutions that we've sort of given up on trying to maintain a semblance of privacy, now even just the pipe that connects your home to the internet is the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Secondhand Joe says that was last week. Yeah, I mean, the final vote I think came this week, right? If I'm not mistaken.
The hubbub over this bill has been going on for a while, and the actual final vote went down this week. So It happened early in the week, and we podcast at the end of the week, so we can talk about all of the things that happened during the week, which this is one of those stories.
Yes, it is. So sorry, Secondhand Joe. Hey, Stephanie, how's it going? We should get you on the show one of these days. So thanks for chiming in. So let's get into the heart of the matter. I mean, I could go on and complain about that, but it's already happened and it's quite useless. And, Lord save us. That's all I have to say because
I think this is like one of those first dominoes kind of situations. For all of the effort that we've put up in trying to maintain net neutrality, for example, or trying to talk about consumer rights or technology services, a lot of consumers are too exhausted to care about that right now. When we're also having the same kinds of debates over things like immigration policy and healthcare, a lot of folks are going to say, well, we've got bigger fish to fry. Who cares about that techie, geeky stuff? I don't do anything on my internet connection that I need to be worried about. So, I don't really care if they sell my data or something like that. But this to me is just indicative of what the first step is going to be in really radically changing up what our technology landscape is going to resemble. And it's not instilling me with a lot of hope that the lawmakers that we have in office right now are going to have a measured and even-handed policy towards telecommunications, towards trying to roll out data and services for more rural areas, for protecting upstarts, small businesses, anything like that. It really does seem to me that they're just going to hand everything that major companies want and, just fork it over on a silver platter. And the people that are going to be most affected or any possibly hurt by these types of policies are going to be the general consumers on the ground.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, you just have to complain, talk to your local reps. But like you said, there's a lot of things that are going on right now that most people are going, you know what? Healthcare is more important. There's so many other things that people are stressed out and dealing, especially in this current political climate. But we have to remind you that, these things happen. So, yeah. So let's move on to more exciting stuff like the Galaxy S8 is coming out.
Yay.
Lou Rod was asking about Warren. It was my fault. I sent him a link For some reason, I thought I hit send. It was just sitting down there. So I apologize for that. But welcome, Warren. How's it going? Warren, can you hear us?
Yeah.
I said welcome. You might as well say welcome.
I couldn't hear until now.
Oh. Well, we've kicked off. We started with the uselessness of the week, talking about, of course, ISPs can now sell your data. Do you want to chime in on that, or do you just want to move on to the good stuff?
No, move on to the good stuff. I mean, we already. What more can be said about that, really?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So Secondhand Joe says something. You're not listening to them. Less government regulation is good. Not necessarily so, my friend. Good regulation and well-placed regulation is good. It's not a matter of less or more.
There's no evidence to suggest that a completely unregulated market is actually good for consumers.
Yeah.
It's also been proven that it doesn't. It's not. There's historical evidence that shows that things being regulated is always better than not.
Yeah.
Well, so the only reason we have any competition in the telecommunications industry as it stands now is when we turned phones into public utilities, and it broke up the Ma Bell monopoly. Yeah. And in many areas, and Joe, I'd be really curious to know what competition you have in your area for data connectivity. Do you have fiber? Do you have DSL? Do you have cable? And if so, do you have multiple cable partners that you can do business with, or do you just have one? That's not competition. That's an absence of competition, and that's largely come about by weakening the markets are regulated in your market.
He says sarcasm. It doesn't carry well over the internet.
That's what the /S is for, man. Come on.
You fail at the internet.
All right, Joe. We're not trying to chastise you here. We're just trying to educate. But Joe's like quickly, he's like, Juan's about to get deep right now. Let me just type that in.
Yeah, Juan's like, I'm going in.
All right, let's move on to the Galaxy S8, which will probably dominate the headlines next year. Next week. Next week.
Someone stuck in 2016.
Yes. Samsung is having its press event on Wednesday in New York. We will all be there, and we'll all be checking out the devices. But, there's a lot of rumors that finally come out there, a lot of images, short videos. We've seen the device. I mean, it's bound to, we're going to see it on Wednesday. We've seen leaked accessories, some of the dock. Samsung announced Bixby, its AI implementation. The question is not necessarily just what to expect, but how do you think, I want to ask in terms of like the presentation, how do you think Samsung is going to deliver this, especially coming off from the Note 7 and just how that kind of, didn't do well in terms of just the company's trajectory, and also what you expect from the device, even though we know technically everything we need to know about the Galaxy S8 at this point, but what do you still expect from it? I think the one thing we haven't seen is Bixby in action, right? In a sense. So I'll start off with you, Juan. What do you think about the presentation and what they intend to push as a narrative, and then also what you expect from the device?
Well, the nice thing about the position Samsung's in is 2016 for them was a year completely about listening to customers and refining their product and replacing those things that people were upset were missing, like water resistance and memory card support. So this really becomes just another step in that conversation from the really very successful launch of the Galaxy S7. And let's not forget that the Galaxy Note 7 launch was incredibly successful too. I feel as long as they kind of continue on that narrative, we're there for our customers, we're supporting this market, we're refining our products, we're listening to you people and what you say you want and what you think is important to have in a phone, then the Galaxy S8, I think, is going to be just another step in that same chain of marketing events. As for the phone itself, I mean, like you said, I mean, we know pretty much everything that is gonna drop on this phone. I'll be very surprised if Bixby at launch is very much different than what Motorola was doing with their implementation of voice controls on the Moto X and Moto X2 back in the day. I mean, for me, it'll be interesting to see sort of the next design war of 2:1 aspect ratio screens and how we talk about cramming more screen into smaller form factors. And I think we can all agree that the fingerprint sensor location on the back of the phone is a design misstep. So, we're feeling pretty confident Galaxy S8 is going to be what we think it is already. It'll probably be the most successful phone, or the most successful Android phone, at least, of the year. And it'll finally be a replacement for all those people that were maybe considering buying Notes first half 2017. They'll have something that's a little more forward-thinking and a little fresher, a little newer. So I think a lot of consumers will be happy there, too.
Okay, just to summarize that for you guys, since Google wanted to just interfere with your voice till the very last minute.
Again.
Juan says that, everything looks cool. Fingerprint sensor sucks at the back. And,
I said it was a design misstep. I didn't say
so I said summarize. I didn't say I was quoting you.
I feel that one was an important one to clarify.
And press conferences, they've done a good job last year, even with the Note 7. So we should see something similar there. Mr. Warren Bowman. Yes. I'm waiting. It's the same question,
I'm supposed to properly pass the question along, and it gotta teach you how to be a host. Anyways,
really, you weren't paying attention. You know what? For that misstep, you're getting a mute. There you go, proper host. Now back to you, Mr. Juan Bagnell.
And look, I can unmute myself. You lose.
Dang it, man! Dang it. Anyway,
it's getting weird, guys. It's getting weird.
Oh, he's still muted. Warren, you need to unmute yourself.
For Samsung's
okay, can you start from the beginning, because we didn't hear where you started?
Yeah, I was trying to start from the beginning, you being useless as usual. So for Samsung, sort of for the S8 here, I expected them to really mostly focus on the fact that the phone's not going to blow up. And they're going to put a huge emphasis on that, and the battery protection, the safety protocols that went through it. We're probably going to see videos of them showing how they made the phone in the factory and the test that they showed along with it, and all that other stuff and nonsense that is going to bore everybody at the event, but they're going to show it anyways. And we pretty much know everything already is coming with this, so I don't see too many big surprises coming out of it. It'll be interesting to see how the implementation of Bixby and how all that works compared to what we've seen from other manufacturers kind of implement their own sort of AI system. So especially since Bixby's coming out sort of at the same time Alexa is now dropping on phones as well too. So it'll be interesting to see how they all compete against Google Assistant and Siri for the iPhone. But I think what will be mostly focused on is what made the phone might not have, and somebody might complain about that, and where the placement of the fingerprint sensor is, which is everyone's going to complain about that as well too. But beyond that, I think we're just at the point now, we're just waiting for the event to happen.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we are at that point where we're all waiting for things to kick off. Do you think there'll be any surprises from Samsung? I'm not saying anything major, but whether it's launching or pre-orders, because some rumors are that pre-orders might start that day. It might also be available sooner than we think. Word is Korea is getting April 7th, which is literally a week away after.
Yeah.
So do you think that will happen, or do you think it's going to take its normal course?
Probably its normal course and where it comes out. I don't think it'll be any different than from last year. I think they're going to keep things as on point as they did last year, and not rock the boat too much, because they're coming off of sort of such a fiasco with the Note 7. I think they're going to try and keep everything as on point as they can, and make sure that their golden child, which is the Galaxy S, as successful as possible and stable as possible in its success. Then probably afterwards more focus on the Note 8 launch, and we'll probably see them throw everything in the kitchen sink into what that will be and how that launch and how that thing will affect. I think this is going to be a play it safe sort of event that they're going to push through here.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see early pre-orders. Just again, like they've had a gap in the market, you know, with no Note 7 sales, where it would normally have been focused around that phone at the beginning of the year. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and lock people's money down early, but I'll be very surprised to see an early shipping phone in North America. If the Galaxy S8 ships to other parts of the world, that's because Samsung's confident that they can keep yields up on the Exynos. From everything that we've read in terms of news, making sure that you can launch a phone that's going to be as hot a seller as the S8 in North America means you've got to keep those Qualcomm chipsets flying, and that seems like that's been that yields are lower than expected for that chipset. So I excuse me, I think that some of the rumors that we've been hearing about Samsung pushing back delivery dates on at least North America would probably make sense because of this dual chipset strategy.
You might be right. I see a lot. Wait, before I even go ahead, what's powering Bixby? Do we know?
What's powering Bixby? I thought it was all in-house Samsung software.
No, I mean, like, is it? Are they using Alexa's backend? Are they using IBM Watson?
I think it's all entirely Samsung development. Now, I mean, Samsung might have bought up some other companies to power Bixby, but I don't think it's leveraging another data center to provide its content.
That is very interesting, I will say. Since they dropped that press release early, I think we'll see a bit. And I think, to your point, I think actually Bixby is going to be much more than what Motorola dropped. It has to be close to Google, or else what's the point? That's the way
no. I mean, look at what Samsung was talking about. It's about context awareness and interactivity. And that's kind of what Motorola was poking at. Just they didn't have the hardware to really back up anything that was a bit more in depth. It was about expanding what you could do from the Google voice search at the time. And so Samsung's strategy overall, I think eventually what they want to be able to do is anything that you can do on your phone through touch, you should be able to do on your phone through voice. But to launch, I will be very surprised if it's not a very small subset of controls that they'll be expanding on over time, just like with any other voice assistant. But if they can do that in a way which doesn't step on Google Now's toes, then they become less of a threat to Google. They're just an add-on for that one particular phone model. They're not Amazon Alexa, which is a completely different, it's like a Trojan horse of a voice assistant to have on your phone also. So that's what I mean is like, I think it'll just to start, it'll be a lot like how we enjoyed. I really liked Moto's implementation. You could change your hot word. You could expand on a number of the different voice commands and controls, and then a lot of that would feed directly into the same backend as the Google Voice Search. Here, I think eventually what they'll need are developers to get on board Samsung APIs that you can do things like, hey, Bixby, can you adjust this thing on my Nest thermostat? Hey, Bixby, can you pick up dinner reservations tonight? Hey, Bixby, can you call me a Lyft? All of those things to expand on the scope of what we can do with voice controls. But that's going to come with time, and again, with developers getting on board supporting those calls.
So leading up, the Samsung acquired a company called Viv that does this, and I guess Viv is the people that created Siri.
That makes sense. That makes sense that would be sort of like, sort of the backbone behind what Bixby might have been.
Okay. All right, cool. Good on that point. All right. So we just have to wait till next week, guys, in terms of what's I think with the S8, it's been rumored to death, and most of those rumors have been on point. And it hasn't been totally just wild rumors like, oh, it's going to have a super curved screen that goes around in 720. It's been really on the point rumors for this device all the way through. So we just have to wait and see come Wednesday, and we all will be there. We'll give you our thoughts. Check out all the channels for coverage on the S8 and all that fun stuff. All right, moving on. This week, Google announced Android O, or Oreo, or Android, whatever it's supposed to be. I guess I'm thinking Oreo still. And the developer preview is out. You can go ahead and flash your devices, be it the Huawei 6B, the Pixel, and a few other devices. They have a full list there for you. But it brings in a couple of new features: background limits, notification channels, and snoozing, picture-in-picture mode, autofill API. Has anyone played around with Android O yet, or taking a look at it?
So I was tapped to actually do our first look video, and then it took me a day and a half to actually get one of my Nexi flashed over. So Jules ended up doing our full coverage, but I did finally get it working on my Nexus 6P, and I'll be very surprised if this is a full number update. If Android O isn't really more like Android 7.6 or something like that. I think for a lot of people, what we're looking at is, I think, the third update in a row where material design has changed the look and feel of Android enough to keep the pretty stuff, and that it's going to be a more iterative behind the scenes update on different services and controls. That will be nice updates, but they're not going to be revolutionary or groundbreaking. Again, a lot of this stuff is kind of developer. No big surprise. I made this joke before. No big surprise because it's a developer review. But it's a developer-focused stuff, like the notification controls, where you can, as a developer, you can build in categories for your app. So it's not like you get 20 different types of notifications from Facebook, but they're all Facebook notifications. It's, maybe I as a user want to disable like notifications or instant messenger notifications. I can turn those things off specifically and just leave the notifications coming in that I want, like comments. Maybe I only want comments. Then I can leave those on specifically. I think for you, Thundery, that some of the audio updates might be kind of interesting too.
Yes.
Promising us low latency audio since Ice Cream Sandwich. And it seems like we're finally getting something like that in Android O.
I mean, I think Android should just fully adopt aptX codecs as a standard.
Oh, no. I mean, in for cabled connections too, because this is the big problem with Android right now. So if manufacturers are getting rid of headphone jacks, right now in Android land, we don't have a universal strategy for using the USB-C connector for audio. If you take an adapter from the Moto Z and you try and plug it into an HTC, it's not going to work, and vice versa. If I take my HTC headphones and plug them into a Thunderbolt port on my laptop, that's not going to work. And I think one of the major problems has been Android's ridiculously poor support for USB audio. So we can't do what the iPhone can do. We just build a DAC directly into the adapter and just call it a day. That can't happen if we don't have some kind of universal protocol for low latency cable connected audio. So for that transition, if we're really going to turn USB-C into the new headphone cable standard, it's Google's problem to make sure that we have the infrastructure to really properly maintain that. So now it looks like this is for reals now. The first step in maintaining that. I did a video back when Jelly Bean came out, where it was one of the Jelly Bean betas, and like, oh, Android finally has support for USB audio peripherals. And since then, the situation hasn't gotten any better. And it's proper terrible. So one of the things on my Nexus 6P, I can finally plug in a USB DAC and actually have it work. Where if I plug that same DAC into my Pixel gets really funky. So again, it's like little baby steps like that where we might actually have it. Now, the Bluetooth situation is also pretty interesting too, because if you go into your developer settings, it's not just support for aptX. There's also support for LDAC baked directly into the operating system level. So hopefully this means that we won't have to pick teams. Like we won't have to scour the box looking for whether or not something has one support for one type of codec, but not support for another. Instead, we can just like, well, I've got these really nice Bluetooth headphones and I don't really care what codec they're using. It's just better than the standard Bluetooth profile. I can expect better audio quality.
LDAC is only Sony, so I could give two.
But that's just it. The consumer shouldn't have to say, I'm only going to buy Plantronics, or I'm only going to buy an LG Tone because I know the LG Tone has support for aptX HD. Do you know what consumers don't do? They don't do that.
Yeah, I know. No. I'm just saying on the adverse. we don't want no Sony codecs, man. We don't want that. Just keep that.
You know what? I mean, that's the thing about Bluetooth, though. No, I mean, like you're not wrong, and I think that's funny. And I'm sorry, I'm sort of rambling here, but it's the thing is, like, that's one area where Sony still actually is delivering a high quality product, right? They're delivering some really nice wireless headphones, and if a consumer wants to pick up the Sony name or the Sony brand, having that support means that they're going to have a higher quality experience. And ultimately, at the end of the day, for Bluetooth, I think it's less precious, because as long as I can still play an MP3, a FLAC, an AIFF, an M4A, as long as the file type doesn't matter, all I want is a higher bit rate and a better quality compression streaming into my ears. Yeah. And so if Android's going to support both, that's so much better for the consumer, because we don't have to worry, like, I can only use my Sony headset with my Sony phone, because that's a mess. Whenever we have that kind of lock-in, then it's bad for everybody.
No, that's very true. Good points. How about you, Warren? What do you think about Android O?
I mean, not much right now. I mean, it's just a developer preview. You're seeing some things that are possibly coming into it right now. It's nice that they're taking audio a little more seriously and trying to tackle it to improve the quality coming from Android devices. But it seems to me like a lot of things are very background driven, and like I said, with like what Juan said, I'd be really surprised if this is like a major update other than just something, Android 7.5 maybe at the max, probably at best this will be.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, good point. Mr. Juan Bagnell, could you tell us what kind of Kangol hat you're wearing today?
I don't remember which one this was. I call it my Castro cap because it makes me look like I'm a Marxist, but I'm not. I'm a Democratic socialist.
Just make that bad boy green, man. Yeah. You should join the Colonel.
I should. Especially if I let my beard grow out a little too long. It's a pretty good match.
That's an arrestable idea. But yeah.
Arrestable idea. I love that. Moving on. Facebook Live is now available on desktop, so you can stream, from your desktop machines while gaming, or if you're just at home. I don't see it as an exciting opportunity, but I like the idea that Facebook at least is opening it up to all its different platforms. Any thoughts?
It's trying to get towards that gaming.
Yeah,
it exists.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, if Facebook's going to be that one-stop shop, I mean, this is going to be the continued pressure. What was it? Didn't Google just recently put out the update for YouTube? Like, didn't they just make that public for YouTube live streaming from your phone?
Let me see if it's on all channels. I think it still is a 10,000 cap.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a cap. You have to have so many people on.
But again, I mean, it's Google's race to lose, and they're doing a phenomenal job of losing it.
Yeah. It's very true.
Yeah. So with every other service coming out with different ways that you can interact with your audience, that you can stream, right now the big advantage and why we're still putting up with the crap that is Hangouts is, we have better monetization tools built directly into YouTube. Once we start brokering good deals for services like Twitter, for Facebook, for Twitch, then Google's stranglehold over streaming video, over audience retention, over social and sharing erodes very quickly.
Yeah.
And so
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to wrap up. I don't think it's that long a time frame before people are really deciding on specific audiences for specific pieces of content. Like we were saying for news, like Twitter should be really, really focused on live news. That's what Twitter as a service is so good at. I think it's great that they're making partnerships with things like the NFL, but if they were really delivering high quality professional grade tools to broadcasters, Twitter would be a very formidable force in streaming video already. Facebook already has the infrastructure for, like, your grandmother wants to show you a funny video of her cat. That's already ready to go. So it only makes sense that they'd be expanding on that platform too.
No, I mean, you're definitely right. The attack that happened in London this week, first place I saw it was on Facebook, because as soon as it drops, you're now almost geared to either, I was watching off BBC's Facebook coverage, and I was just listening, and BBC has a dedicated Facebook team.
Tell me, like, how BBC was killing it with their live coverage this whole week. for not only that attack, but then also for the healthcare bill that just got voted down. We don't need to talk about that. I just mean BBC's coverage of
there was no vote.
I mean, properly DOA, but BBC's coverage of that was streaming, was on TV, was on radio. I mean, like, they have their media markets carved out, and it wasn't just like some dumb feed for one.
Oh no, it was different. It was, you had different geared,
different commentary. You had different reporters. They had everything carved out for the specific audiences that they were reaching. Everything that we were talking about a while back. I mean, I can't forget what episode it was when we were talking about news and creating content for specific channels. But BBC is starting to figure out their role in different network spaces, and that's really exciting. I think this would be a huge opportunity for a local news channel to start using some of those tools where a reporter with an iPhone and a clip mic can probably start creating some really compelling content specifically on the ground for things like Twitter. You know, that is a huge opportunity that I think a lot of networks are missing out on.
There you go, guys. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, and the rest of you.
Even like,
just drop some tips.
No, I was going to say, like, even look at your local affiliate, you know, like KTLA does some stuff like this where they have specific podcasts and shows. NBCLA is starting to play with Facebook live streaming video. You'll see that for a lot of the fun reporting that they'll do. They'll do long form interviews on their Facebook page. But again, a lot of that's like a reporter just sort of jankily holding their phone in portrait mode and trying to do a live broadcast talking about the thing behind them. If they were to just deliver a few more resources like a tripod.
No. How about we just first of all just
turn the phone sideways? Then I think we could start seeing some really compelling content being produced for all platforms, not just, you know, like focusing on the live news for the TV and then letting everything else just be crappy low quality. And that's something
I do agree. I mean, but, you know, to Ronald Collins' point, Fox has a Facebook as well as CNN, but they're almost just feeds from.
They totally are. And that's why I think this probably needs to happen at the local level. If your local Fox affiliate started taking these tools seriously, that's better for you, because in your community, you're getting information about what's happening around you, what's happening right outside your door. You're getting information that's far more pertinent than Fox News Global, the cable news channel. I think the Fox affiliates are probably doing a better job of reporting on news as opposed to editorializing news, which is what the Fox cable news channel is for. It's for talking heads. It's for drumming. I mean, all of the cable news channels right now are all about creating salacious environments for news. Your local affiliates, I think, have to be tied in more with the community that they're a part of. And that becomes a much stronger piece to leverage for something like Twitter. So if you're following, you know, NBC LA on Twitter, then you're getting LA stories. If you're following NBC corporate on Twitter, you're getting the same crap that they're serving up on their national nightly news broadcast, which may or may not be relevant to you. So that's why I think this is a huge opportunity, and why I think the BBC is doing it, because, you know, the BBC is born out of a country with like the population of a major U.S. city. Like the entire country is like one state of the United States.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Speaking of streaming services and live streaming, Comcast, it looks like now they're going to finally kick in their streaming service nationwide, something that, you know, we've had in the Northeast to some degree. I'll put it this way. So Comcast was one of the first to actually start streaming TV services before Sling, before any of these companies. But it was literally focused just in the Northeast. And Warren can attest to that. They had a program with college students where you could get a Comcast streaming package if you're a student, which was great. It was a nice way to test it out, but it never
went anywhere.
Expanded at all. But it looks like now they're finally going to kick things into gear, considering they are super late. So I'll start off with you, Mr. Warren Bowman, since you at least you're familiar with Comcast's streaming endeavors. What do you think about this? And knowing their pace of progress, do you think we'll get it this year? Considering they announced last year they were going to have an app starting on Samsung TVs. So you wouldn't need a cable box anymore. But now that's kind of fizzled. So anyway, what do you think, Warren?
It's nice to saying this, but as you know, with everyone else, it really depends on what if they prove it, if they show it. I think they're only pushing this now. Conveniently, this got escalated after the Direct Now release, Direct TV Now, and all of a sudden we got this press release about this, or at least from Bloomberg, a month after YouTube is talking about doing the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
I think now that they have giant players against them, because they were in this weird hybrid because they own Hulu, so there was a little bit, they own part of Hulu. So it was a little bit of this weirdness where they were like kind of.
Oh, and Hulu's doing theirs too again this year. Yeah,
doing their own, but that's technically them. I mean, they remember they own NBC, so half of the content they get. That's I
know. Wouldn't it be nice if all of them just said, "Yeah, our live streaming service is called Hulu." Just go there.
Because that would make too much sense. It made too much sense, and you got too many people with egos. But the thing is that they got to show this. I mean, we know Comcast announces a lot of things. 3 years ago we were supposed to get next gen X2 box that never really showed up. They just kind of rolled it into what we currently see. We were supposed to get 4K boxes last year.
Yeah, but I think that was also more of an industry back in general.
And we didn't get that. No, well, they announced it the year before that too. They said 4K boxes for 2 years.
Oh, we were supposed to get and then one by one internet too. So it would be 75 or under 100.
We were supposed to get that. We're supposed to also get HDR level streaming in boxes. And it's all these things that are said, but Comcast execution of them is always maybe not. And we're trying. Well, we'll let it fizzle out. Well, we've got something else different we want to talk about. This time, if they're saying they're going to do this, and I really hope they don't do this whole app device charge crap they're planning to do with people using it on a Roku or something different or another device. If they plan to do this, and they plan to do this at a fair price, similar to maybe the Direct Now prices, maybe a little bit cheaper, maybe a little more expensive, whatever they want to do, and they roll this out, let's say, in the next couple of months, then yeah, definitely, it's good times to do it. If they wait all the way to the end of this year or a little later down the road, it's another one of their vaporware situations, and they're going to continue to kind of fall down this path of, by the time that comes around, people may have already chosen where they want to head to.
I know, I do agree. I think it needs to come out before summer. Let's just call it that. If you want to pitch it that now you can take your Comcast everywhere, or if you move, you can sell it in many different ways. Using the app, I like the app more than any other app service I've used.
As far as like their interface for TV and what this is geared for live TV, the X1 is probably the best one on the market. Yeah. Outside of everyone
so they already
else.
have the framework, but like you said, it's putting it out there and trying to compete, especially price wise. Mr. Juan Magnell, what do you think?
No, I completely agree with Warren. It's we've been promised too much for too long, and now it's a put up or shut up situation. I'll believe it when I see it. But look at Comcast's business model. They're still leveraging a dying market where most of their subscriber base still lives. They're trying to engage in data caps, for other services while they're also implementing a streaming service. So I think there's some confusion at the corporate level for what it is that this company represents. I think they're just sort of toying with this and kind of playing with it. I don't feel like it really has the full support of the entire Comcast organization to get these services rolled out and to get them implemented and in consumers' hands. I think they're the nice things that they can point to and look, oh yeah, and we're working on a streaming solution too, so that they can claim that other streaming services are direct competition against what they have to offer, so that when they go to engage in other business practices for their main cable line service, that they can say, oh, well, look, and this is why Netflix is a direct competitor to us. We need to be able to offer special services to our subscribers that Netflix can't offer theirs. And I think it's a game. I think they're playing a game. Until I see this stuff actually implemented and, like, wide scale in markets that don't have good data services or underserved, or in markets where Comcast is implementing severe caps, then I'll say, okay, Comcast is really taking this seriously. Until then, I'm with Warren. I think this is still vapor.
I kind of agree with you that where you said that Comcast, it's almost like there's infighting within the corporation, because when you mentioned that, now Warren can attest to this. Remember the launch of the streaming TV app just to watch outside of the home, which is about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah,
Warren. And I remember then I was talking to the tech, and he was like, "Oh, then the FCC didn't allow them to have streaming DVR. There was some regulation that they had to get around. They're like, yeah, the backbone of their tech has been solidified from 4 years ago. I would say then originally, but when they started this, the tech was talking about, yeah, I was in California. I was watching my TV shows. I was watching news from Boston because that's the area code I put in. And I could also record the shows. We can't do it as a service for you guys now. So I'm like, oh, you guys should just bundle this and call it a stream. I mean, they've had this for such a long time, which makes me think, why would part of the company decide to spend money on infrastructure to create this whole thing?
I think Comcast is becoming Kodak. Kodak invented the digital camera sensor, but you know what? Our real business is in film. That's really what we're going to focus on. And I kind of feel Comcast is at the upper echelons of the company is kind of thinking the same way. We can do streaming stuff. Anyone can do streaming stuff, but our business is predicated on putting a box in your home and connecting it with wires, and that's how we get things done, because we're Comcast.
Yeah, because Comcast is a very big company. Remember, they own Universal, by the way, just so that people know. Universal Studios. They own the film company. They also own part of Hulu. They have all these different business ventures, and to me, it just seems like it's almost like they're parts of the company just fighting each other for certain things to come out. And especially on just the pure Comcast cable provider side, every year, like to Warren's point, they always mention something, and you're like, ooh, 4K boxes. Ooh, I can now, I was so excited to have a Comcast app on my Samsung TV. I was like, this is great. Now I don't have to cast my Patriots games over. I can just watch it, and I'm fine. And watching a Super Bowl win. But no, that didn't happen. I had to go to a bar and watch it. Because now, NFL also put caps. You can't cast over from your phone. Another dumbness. I just cannot believe that. Anyway, that's a whole different discussion altogether. But yeah,
that sounds a little personal there.
No, I tried it with Sling, DirecTV, and Comcast during the NFL season. If I'm watching on my phone, I cannot cast to the TV because somehow I am now, doing something wrong or sharing my NFL game experience that I want to watch on a larger screen that I own.
Right.
To someone else. I thought maybe it was just Comcast at first. Then I tried DirecTV, and then I tried Sling. But for all of you out there, there is a way out around it. Make sure you start watching that channel during the NFL pregame show. Then you can cast it over, and then it just continues. There's always a way.
Well, that's very helpful.
I don't care. I'm telling them.
The thoughts and views of this podcast and hangout do not reflect.
One moment, and like no. All right, let's move on. And of course, finally, Super Mario Run is now available. I don't care, so I'm asking you guys: do you care?
Nope.
The game's actually not all that fun. Like
I mean, it's another just run and jump game.
It's a slow run and jump game that like I don't control Mario like this. I can't control where he goes, and it's like, what the?
Right.
I'm just like, what the hell is this? Yeah, I'd rather you just sell me levels of the original Mario. I'd call it a cheap cop out, but I'd still rather have that than just.
I can tell you, my wife would be grinding old school Super Mario on her phone. She freaking loves that.
See, I don't get Nintendo. Drop Super Mario. You know, look, what's the most expensive gaming app? How much? What, $5.99, right?
I think you can buy games.
I mean, there's still a few games out there that are yeah. I mean, like, and not counting the pay to win games that people will dump tons of cash into.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do $5.99 and then you do extra levels in there.
Yeah,
you know, add extra levels. Like you can do the standard. If you say, okay, fine, you're putting Super Mario $5.99. Maybe if you want to push $9.99, maybe if you can, and then you throw in extra levels you can buy.
But just think about like the original Super Mario with proper on-screen controls that you don't have to go through weird sort of like emulator to run.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has an enormous catalog of games like that where they could be making additional revenue on porting them over. And,
I
don't even need like a graphics refresh. I actually want the original 8-bit Nintendo graphics for stuff like that.
No. They want to make money off us streaming, you know, or reviewing Zelda games on YouTube. That's where they want to make money. That's the focus of Nintendo.
I don't disagree with their stance from a corporate perspective because it's their IP. What I'm saying is that their IP is just sort of sitting there and they could do additional revenue generation with that IP. I'm telling them
I don't mind
keep doing their same crappy business plans for YouTube streamers and still make more money.
I'm wondering how much they're making off of that whole system to begin with, because
it's not significant.
It's not significant because what they didn't count on. What I think they sometimes don't realize is that they think that there was an arrogance when they did that. They thought they were bigger than what they really are, and didn't realize that these gamers will just go, okay, I'll just go play a different game. I don't need your Nintendo game. Okay, I'll find a way around your copyright system. And if I got to hack my way around it, and if I find a way to do it, I'm just going to use it that way. And that's just the way people think. There was really no that preposterous creators program. It's one of the most ridiculous things that's going to hold them back. And they'll wonder why. Well, they're selling a lot of Switches, but then we're not selling a lot of games. Until they understand how game reviews and how people consume content about games is based upon Let's Plays. And if you don't have people, you know, and the people that are playing your game should be paid their fair share. You shouldn't be taking their money to play your game online just because the current YouTube rules allow you to do so. And it's just like, it's funny that the only ones with this stance, because everyone else has taken either, we really don't like it, but we won't really go after you for it. We'll just say we really don't like it. Like Naughty Dog, who they're very stupid about it too. They should just be green lighting that as much as possible, specifically with how well their games are. And everyone else is like, oh, sure, go ahead. We're here to hear the guidelines or the rules. Here's some things you want to look out for. But hey, go ahead. Just follow these rules and do your thing.
I think any media company, especially in the world of gaming, should be looking at what George Lucas did with Star Wars.
Yeah,
they encouraged fan films. They encouraged the utilization of LucasArts sound effects and the library of special effects, and they drew the line. They drew the line at people directly charging for that content. But those fan films still exist today. And a lot of those old reviews, like the Plinkett reviews, which I don't think you should be able to call reviews. I think they violate copyright and critique, commentary and critique for copyright. But they still exist today, and they still have ads being served on them. And they aren't. LucasArts isn't trying to like shut those channels down or wreck their monetization.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. When was the last? When did the original trilogy come out? The last movie, 81 or 82?
I thought it was 83.
All right, so between 83
early 80s.
Oh, let's call it 83 to 99. Between that window, there was no Star Wars. No Star Wars.
I wasn't even born when Star Wars started. Yeah. You old bastard.
And you had fan films, back then that powered through got people excited. I watched so many fan films, even after the prequels. There were more fan films trying to like wash people's taste away from the prequels, to say, hey, this is what Star Wars is supposed to be. But Lucas, Lucas knew how to expand the universe, and that's what I think some of these companies, especially gaming companies, need to understand, that you need to grow your fan base. The guys from GTA Rockstar are one of the best at it. They love sharing especially when they move GTA Online to PC, where people do all the mods. I mean, I watched some of the crazy mods just to see. Like, I saw somebody do a John Lennon on a piano, racing around as a car, just for the heck of it. Somebody did the Flash and put the effects of the Flash and everything in there. Like, they do so many things. And I'm like, yeah, this is why I almost got tempted to even play the game, even though I know I will not like it. I wouldn't like to play it, but I'm like, maybe I should pick it up. That's what it does. It just,
look at a game. Look at a game like Minecraft. It got totally popular off of the Let's Plays and the creations on YouTube that people could view and see it on. They could see the game, and that's how that game blew up. They didn't have any major marketing. They used every free marketing tool they possibly could, and notched out $1 billion out of doing it. And somehow, some way, Nintendo does not get this concept. And it's also amazing that Square Enix gets it and they don't, considering Square was far more hardcore about this type of stuff for their IPs than even Nintendo really is right now.
Somebody owns Square now, though. Who's their parent company?
I think they're still by themselves.
No, I think they're owned by somebody. Is it Bethesda or somebody like that?
I think Square Enix is still Square Enix. Anyway,
continue. I'll look.
But it's just like, it's amazing. It's amazing how Nintendo is just mismanaging their properties by not truly listening to their audience and assuming that they already know what their audience wants, even though their audience is saying, hey, we want stuff sort of like this. There's no reason why they can't sell an NES emulator that works on iOS and Android and sell a damn controller with it and make a whole bunch of money, which would have made more money than that stupid NES box that they came out with, was a USB stick.
No, the NES box could have made money if they actually just put out units like normal human beings.
It should have never been created. That could have been easily an app on a phone that they could have then sold a physical controller with, and could have just pumped games into that, because it wouldn't have been limited to the that was on there.
You can do that, but the box was nostalgia for Christmas, and that's fine. It's a good business tool. It is absolutely fantastic.
Not $60. The
price no one cared about the price. Remember, the problem was not the price. The problem was not the box. The problem was the fact that Nintendo decided to just do some false, shortages. It literally was. Everyone was like, for $60, oh, I'll buy it. Yeah. I mean, that was it. No one cared. Everyone was like, oh, I just want one. And what happened? You couldn't buy it.
Well, that was also the case that a lot of people wanted to play old school Nintendo games, and there really wasn't a place to do that unless you went and bought an old Nintendo, or you went and got yourself a Wii U to potentially do it, which costs more than just getting a $60 box.
So they had a market, and they just blew it completely. They had a market at least for the holiday to at least garner some really nice sales, just to put on the books to say, okay, at least we did something, because their mobile strategy on one end, like you said, is something you can either release a controller, or even if you say, look, Nintendo says we're releasing 10 games from our NES days, Super Mario 1, Super Mario 2 if you want to, because that game was kind of hard, especially the original Japanese version. That thing was difficult.
Well, that's not called Super Mario. That's not called Super Mario 2 in America. That's called Super Mario: The Lost Levels here in America.
You could also do, you could partner with people and throw in like Castlevania. You could do that kind of stuff and release those games, and then release one new game for mobile. Just do like, you could do 10 a year, done, or even less, like five or six. But anyway, you know what? Forget that. Let's end on a happy note, because I don't want to talk about Nintendo and some of the foolishness that they do in there.
If anybody else has played Super Mario Run in here, it seemed like it was a game that people were excited for, and it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah,
like in terms of hearing about
well, and
it.
also, I mean, for it being a run and jump game, that it took them this long to move to Android is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If anything, now that creates like a negative sentiment regarding one of the most beloved characters of video game history.
I don't know if you guys have played it.
I played it on iOS, and
I mean, I fired it up on the iPhone. I haven't installed it on an Android.
I mean, I played it, and I was just like, oh no, and I'm a huge I'm a big platform gaming fan. So I'm playing this game, and I'm like, this is the most awkward way to jump. Nothing here is accurate in terms of like, all right, if I want to go get to this coin, I have to kind of ricochet myself. Oh, I can't do that because I have to I have to pressure sensitive my jumps a certain way and try to make it work. It's just like, and it's a slow speedrunner game too at that. It's like, it's one of the few times I'll ever say this. It's like, I'd rather if this been a Sonic game. Like, I'm a way bigger Mario fan, and I love Sonic too, the original OG 2D.
But Sonics. A run and jump game that makes so much more sense for Sonic as IP.
Yeah, why haven't they done that?
I think they have done some runners for them, but Sonic's IP is such in the trash so much. Listen. You trash when you joining in Mario's game to play some Olympics, okay? Like they're struggling. If he has to join them, he's technically in the Mario universe now. So funny. It's just, but I guess the best way to say it is that Temple Run. I wish it was like Temple Run. Temple Run's a hell of a lot faster and more responsive in 3D and makes more sense. But I don't know why they wouldn't have made Paper Mario out of this, because Paper Mario has that 3D aspect, especially on the Wii one, where it would invert the screen for you, then you go from 2D to 3D or different planes. Yeah, being able to see. There was a lot of great ideas with this, but then once again, they come out with something half-assed as all hell, pretend that they did a whole bunch of stuff to it. I swear to God, they must have spent all their resources in the last 5 years on Breath of the Wild. I mean, like everyone. Like everyone. Reggie might have been doing some QA. Like everyone was involved with that. And still can't get the frame rate to stand. Still have frame rate issues.
It is. Anyway, any more topics, guys, before we round up for the week?
No, I mean, we're all sort of in a holding pattern. The Galaxy S8 is going to suck all the air out of the room, so we're.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's one more actually. I remembered. Apple released new products this week. Red iPhone.
Who cares?
iPad at
not the first time.
The 9.7 iPad got a refresh, which doesn't bode well for the Tab S3. I actually
you don't think so?
I thought about it. It's such a 329. Okay, come on, let's be honest. Tab S3 600.
That's true.
Did they just refresh it with new processor?
Yeah, they refreshed it, but I'm just saying, if you're a customer that's like, oh, should I get the new Galaxy or should I just go to the iPad?
It really wasn't going to exactly compete anyways. The iPad is what it is in that space.
No, but I'm saying then what space are you going for? It's almost like just go with the Galaxy. If it's $600, it's a weird price.
I think they're trying to compete against the Pro with that, not so much the standard iPad. That's an iPad Pro competitor. Remember when both of those tablets were higher level consumer based tablets that were kind of on the Pro level of things.
Yeah, I get
productivity.
I get that.
Content consumption. Because if it was just a content consumption style tablet, I mean, they obviously would have dropped the price down a little bit lower. But that's.
I mean, the Pro,
not the idea.
Pro is a consumption tablet. I don't care what anybody says. You can't work with that. I saw guys using 500 dongles just trying to connect a keyboard to that thing.
So you can always buy the case and just use it that way.
And you're like, it's so great, but for me to transfer files over, there's no way I can really put an SD card to do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're stupid. Anyway, on that note.
Hold on. I actually do have one other story I wanted to get your guys' take on. Because we've been talking a little bit about gaming in this episode. What did you guys think about GameStop's announcement that they're going to be closing at least 150 retail locations?
I have two reactions to this. One, I will do what my normal reaction is. It's kind of sad, I see anybody lose work, because that kind of sucks for those things. Now for the gamer, they're all doing this. they're all clapping up for that because there's a huge love-hate relationship, obviously more hate with gamers and GameStop. But the reality is that they much like Comcast relied on an old model, and we're still trying to force this old model to go through, and we're trying to force they were trying to force things that just shouldn't have been happening anymore. The downsizing of them should have happened almost 4 years ago. They should have seen that, all right, things are going to downloadable. What can we do as a physical retail store that we can facilitate our resources to better pursuit what that is? And there was plenty of things that they could have done. They could have easily been a place where it's easy to come in and buy download codes from. It could have easily been a place where you could maybe get, you know, only special editions that they sell of certain things. They could have increased the amount you get on trade backs so that they sell more of the console hardware out. They could have been a place where we specialize in the best accessories possible. And, you know, yeah, you can buy accessory on there, but if you come in here, you can get this accessory in a game and something else to compete against the Amazons and the online retailers of the world. There's plenty of ways they could have done it, but instead they go with the Best Buy philosophy that we're just too dumb to change our product model. We think we know what we're doing. We're just going to keep shoving this down, and we're going to try to force customers to what we want them to be instead of listening to what the market says. This is where you get this point where it's like, oh, yeah, the customers do speak with their wallet, and they're telling us we got to shut 150 stores down. And
wah wah.
No, I definitely agree. The last time I went to GameStop was 3 years ago, I think. If I'm buying anything, I buy it on Amazon because I'll get it the same day. Especially if you're pre-ordering, you know, like a game or console or something.
And you get it for cheaper.
Yeah, and Amazon.
Well, what I thought was hilarious were the number of people, like in the various Reddits, that were talking about this closure, and the overwhelming number of console gamers who haven't been happy with digital downloads for consoles. And every now and then, like, a PC gamer would pop up and be like, we don't have this problem on Steam. You know, like, it's just, this isn't something that happens. Games aren't expensive for PCs because we have Steam sales.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, where digital download is the same price as a physical copy.
Yeah.
Makes
you buy it from Amazon, and you got Prime, and you get it for $12 to $13 cheaper.
Exactly. Amazon will subsidize it for that digital download for you, but if you're buying off the Xbox directly, you know.
But I loved all the numbers like, oh, well, we're getting screwed without lube on digital downloads, and I'm sitting here going, are you? Why? Is that really still a problem?
Yeah,
because I keep hearing how PC gaming is like way too expensive, and yet I don't know that I've spent more than like $10 on a PC game in a really long time.
Well, it's the setup for PC gaming. You know, like, you know, if you're entering and building that PC that you want and all that.
Right,
kind of
but
stuff.
why do we stop factoring the cost at the box that runs the game? We should continue to factor in costs for how much we spend after we get that box.
Yeah, and actually, and also the fact that you're paying for Xbox Live or PS Now, which you don't pay for.
You pay for that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Better framework though. Xbox Live does do very good.
So
better framework stuff.
To Warren's point, exactly, and this is something that I tweeted last night when I was kind of reading through all these Reddits and stuff, that GameStop has missed out on this incredible. I mean, basically, if you go into a GameStop now, I think a lot of them have kind of just become nostalgia stores. You know, you can go in there and buy T-shirts and tchotchkes and keychains and crap like that are all sort of gaming adjacent. Or you can go in and get a Cricket smartphone, because that's what gamers wanted, was to be sold cell phone plans at their local
cheaper than the N-Gage.
Well, don't. But what I mean is, like, look at that stupid focus on corporate sales, corporate metrics, the way that they play games with selling used games because they get a higher margin on that. So they'll run their employees through that, what they call it, the circle of life.
Yeah,
thing where they have to keep all their metrics up at a certain point for selling used titles. And instead, if they had just looked at what little mom and pop gaming stores or comic book stores have done to remain relevant in this day and age, if they had used that retail floor space to celebrate gaming, putting up local tournaments, having kiosks and stations where people can just hang out and chill for a little bit. Maybe also investing in an infrastructure for tabletop gaming, for card-based gaming, role playing, all of these different things that are of interest to gamers and make gaming a more social experience. They would have converted more paying customers over. But instead, they bought out EB Games. They bought out a bunch of novelty and retail stores. There are all these stories about people who have like 2 GameStops in the same mall because they had to keep the lease on an old EB Games and some nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they completely destroyed what would have made GameStop an interesting place for people to go, a resource in a community that people could have experienced. Instead, it's like, well, we got to pack this wall to wall with t-shirts now. That's not what we care about. In fact, that's literally in our way if we're going to be talking about gaming.
There's so many things they really could have done. It's just shameful. But the best part about that happening is that this allows the potential for digital downloads to get a lot cheaper finally in the console realm, because the whole reason that they're even $59.99 is because there's still physical copies that exist for the GameStops of the world.
Well, I don't think GameStop had as much leverage there. I think the reason why digital downloads are still so expensive is because of retail outlets like Walmart. When Walmart got into gaming,
I
think we'll still see I'm just saying, I think we'll still see expensive digital downloads because of Walmart and Target, even if GameStop disappeared tomorrow.
But the thing is, I still think GameStop still had the heavier influence into that, because they're still one of the bigger. They're still selling in volume probably the most amount of games than the other ones are, because other stores do sell games. Obviously, they're in that space, but not everybody. You go to Walmart to pick up a game because it's probably you don't have the GameStop or someplace else near you. You don't want to order it online, and you're already shopping for your groceries and getting a potted plant while your car gets fixed inside of a super Walmart. So, well, there you go. You can just go pick it up while you're there. I mean, that's why you do it, and it's usually a little bit cheaper or on sale or whatever the case may be. But I think with GameStop coming out of that play, that will allow a lot of other places to sell this at a cheaper rate, especially since the biggest influence is if they can get Amazon to agree to that. Because if Amazon then agrees to say, all right, we'll sell the digital downloads for $47.99, they're a Prime member in the same way that they sell the physical copies too, that pushes everyone to do it at that point. And I think Amazon's the future and much more of a better person to partner with for that type of thing to happen.
I agree
versus
Amazon has it right. I mean, when Amazon started doing, hey, you want to pick up the PlayStation 4, it will be there on launch day. I'm like, I don't have to wait in line anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like right now, Amazon's got that in play, and they got the logistics for it. And if gaming companies want to get smart, we want more games to sell, to make a higher margins, to also eliminate the one thing that they hate, which is used games. It's the digital way of going about things. Because here's the thing: if people aren't spending $60 on a game, but they're spending 50 or 40 or less than that, and the game marginally goes down over time, there's less of an incentive for folks to go get used games or used copies. They'll just either get the cheaper
version. Spending $40 a game. If I go,
who the hell gets used PC games? I mean, it's just like you just go to Steam, wait for a sale, and it's right there. Yeah, I mean
that's
there is no used PC gaming market like that.
They need to have online sales for console games, at least, even if it's just once a year. Copy Steam model, just copy it. There's no need for you to create anything fancy. Steam does winter and summer sales. Just do one sale and you're done.
PSN does do that. Sony does have seasonal sales on things, and they will have things that will drop down in price. Microsoft kind of does not so much, but Sony does have that model. You got to remember, there's only so much control that they have of that, because a lot of it's their games that they get put on sale, but they don't necessarily have. But
on PC games, Steam doesn't own any of this stuff. Let's just be frank.
Yeah, but
Half-Life has not been made in forever.
Yeah, but there's there's also more freedom on that space. There's just more freedom in the PC space.
But that's the thing but again, if you're Microsoft or Sony, this is something you can collectively say, hey, look, if you have older games that have gone through its life cycle of sales, this is the time that if we're going to do one major sale a year, then this is the time where you're still going to generate revenue from these games. You might as well do it. Right.
I see that being a possibility at some point, because remember that's really tied. That's kind of tied into their subscription services where you get free games each month.
Yeah, no, I know the free game. But it doesn't excite. There's something exciting about Steam sale. You know, guys go, Steam sales coming up this week. I'm like, all right, let me see. Oh, I can buy all these games.
Or like Steam sales coming up this week. Hashtag RIP my wallet.
Exactly. I mean, I remember the last time it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago. I think Sam spent like $150 on Steam sales because there was so many games. He literally bought like 20 or 40 games. I can't believe. And he's like, I
do the same thing. I load up heavy whenever there's a Steam sale.
You know, stuff you haven't played in a while, stuff that you skipped, stuff that somebody else played, and they're like, dude, you should check this out. And you're like, it's only $10 now? Oh, hell yeah.
And I've got probably about it. And not even being a hardcore gamer anymore, I've got about a dozen titles in my Steam library that I wanted just to complete a series. Not that I've even had the time to go and play those games yet. I just wanted them as a collector in some weird way. And that the Steam sales kind of like program you into buying stuff up at that time.
And Tiger 8. Isn't it just sad how badly Steam messed up the Steam boxes? Because considering that if they'd actually put these out in the proper way at a proper price, this would have been a disruptor in the gaming space like none other.
At the time that they came out and what they were, Steam boxes should have come out now. They have the right.
No, they should have never went to anyone else to put it out. They should have
done it themselves. Yeah,
damn thing.
They should have done it themselves,
and then licensed it to other people, but should have made their own damn thing at a right price. Take the loss on it, get the subscriptions and everything else, and funnel it that way. Take the original gaming approach to things. They didn't think about that.
Yeah, they were a little open source with it. To me, it's even if they didn't want to build it themselves, you just work with one partner first. That's it. You start with one person. Let them build it out for you. But also, again,
they kind of did that. I mean, to Warren's point, it was, you know, whether or not they were using that hardware to leverage a proper fight against consoles. And so who was it that put out a proper Steam box? It wasn't Dell, was it?
Well, there's a bunch of people. Zotac had a Steam box.
Everyone, they were all over.
No, but I mean, like
CES 2 years ago.
When we started talking about, they had a launch hardware partner. I don't remember who was first.
No. I thought at launch they just had a reference because they wanted a GTX 980 in that bad boy, and I was like, guy, that is too expensive already. That is too expensive for anyone who a console gamer to try and move them over, to PC gaming. That 980 alone is more than the console itself.
Remember,
especially in a market where people were still connecting to like 720p TVs.
Exactly, yeah.
I remember I was I'm more of the console gamer, and I remember I looked at the Steam box, and I remember I was interested. Then I looked at the price, and I was like, nope, not gonna happen.
I think in wrapping up all of this, like getting back to GameStop, I think they still have an opportunity. If they're closing multiple retail stores, at least 150 retail stores, that means in many markets there's still going to be GameStops because many markets have 2 or 3 GameStops in them. I seriously doubt that they've got the talent on their board of executives to look at some of these new strategies. But if GameStop started celebrating local gamers again, if they became sort of arcade style resources for people to try before they buy, to go hands-on, to play with new peripherals. If you go to the GameStop website and look at events, I think right now all they have is like, sign up for our digital streaming, sign up for our subscription service, and you can also check out the HTC Vive at select GameStop locations. Why not start using your retail space to start hosting tournaments? Why not get back into actually interacting with people who like to play games instead of trying to trick us into coming into your store by selling t-shirts and smartphone plans?
Oh, Juan, this is for you. Vicente George says Juan will start gaming again once the little one starts playing games. Just be there to help her.
Oh, dude. I mean, like, my wife and I are already talking about that strategy. I mean, like, starting her off with some good platformers and stuff. We've got to make sure she's got the fundamentals down before she starts
platformers.
The thing
is, games.
My child will never play a Call of Duty game. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah,
wrong. They will. They will.
No, well, play with their own damn money, and guess what? They ain't gonna have their own damn money. So that game ain't getting bought. The game ain't getting bought.
Oh, I thought you were going to start talking about like the content, because I know way too many 10-year-olds that are firing.
Well, besides the content and in and of itself, making light of what war really is. Beyond that, it's just the game is crap. The game itself is just crap.
Well, I mean, it's not like that doesn't help keep a roof over our heads or anything. So,
I will say though,
in full disclosure, my wife works for Activision, so when she's old enough, she'll play some Call of Duty games. I'm sure.
But
by the same mega publisher, but it's cool.
I think GameStop.
Hopefully, it'll be something new by the time that comes around.
They need to embrace esports.
You think gamers want new things?
No, they don't.
Gamers want one or two new titles.
Activision knows that.
No, I mean tech and geeks right now, games and geeks and everything. It's like I want the exact same thing, and I don't want to have to change my behavior at all, and I want it to resemble everything that I already know. Else, it's a fail. And if you try and do something new, then you're the first one to fall apart, and another company can profit from it.
All right, guys. On that note, we want to say thank you, and we're moving over to Mr. Warren Bowman for the last word.
I've already had a ton of last words.
Dude.
Like 5 times.
You're the one who bitched about putting the last word in here. It's here.
No, I'm just saying we've just ran over for about a good 18 minutes. I think we've had plenty of last word time. That's what I'm saying. Wrap it up.
Can we get a last
wrap it up
sentence? Or a word?
Wrap it up at all
times. All right, Mr. Juan Bagnell, what can we expect from your channel next week?
I mean, it's Galaxy S8. Like I was saying before, it's going to suck all the oxygen out of the room. So we're going to spend probably an entire week looking at the press conference, the announcement, the reveal of the S8, going with some hands-on videos. We'll probably have a couple like show floor comparisons. I hate doing those because it's like, I don't know anything about this phone, but let me compare it to the iPhone right now. But those videos still do really well on our channel. And so you only have yourselves to blame for watching that content.
Oh, yeah. I love doing those because I'm like, here's the difference, and here it is, but it's really not different.
And then you're like, maybe I'll do a whole bunch of videos. Galaxy S8 explained, or Galaxy S8, is it worth it? Is it worth it for your money? And then I'll like do a whole bunch of like clickbaity titles that don't have anything to do with the Galaxy S8. Like the worst thing about the Galaxy S8 or top 5 things we hate about Samsung.
Fingerprint sensor in the back.
I'll do like a whole bunch of like screen thumbnails, like that, like, oh god, I'm vomiting because of Galaxy S8, and then like a bunch of Apple people will click on that video, and that'll be awesome because that's how you do the YouTubes. That's how that goes.
Okay, cool. Anything on?
Actually, so in all seriousness, I would also point out that we do have our LG G6 real camera review out. Even though the G6 isn't on final software, we had a pretty good sense of what the hardware could do, so we did put out an in-depth camera review. We're going to have to revisit that once software is updated, but I think people will be able to get a sense of what LG is doing with their camera stuff. So I definitely recommend people go check that out.
Okay. Some guys, you got anything?
Oh, I mean, like because of Samsung, I'm gonna try and do some vlogging. Like I might try and keep the 360 vlog going. I think it'd be kind of cool just to do like maybe a little short vlog from the actual Samsung announcement. So that kind of stuff is going to be going up. I'm still because of all of this stuff between MWC to now, and knowing that we're going to be cutting a ton of videos on Pocket now, we've had to back burner some of the science-y videos. So as soon as we're done with the Galaxy S8, that's when we're going to get back to the hearing video, the fitness tracking video, some of those other like hands-on Bill Nye the Science Guy ripoffs, and we'll be getting back to some of that content soon.
Okay, cool. On my end, the gaming PC, which I got in the crates, that's not happening this week because I won't have time. The Acer gaming laptop, that's not happening this week because I won't have time. But I will be dropping S8 content. I'm going to continue what I started last year. where I ask a bunch of YouTubers what they think about the S8, just first impressions of the show. So you guys get ready to be on camera.
I won't be.
They don't look excited.
I love me and Juan will probably be in the same chase trying to bogart like a particular S8 to try to do our content on, and we'll just have to stand there and kind of just hold post until we can get to it.
Exactly. So, you know, but I'll do that, some more S8 stuff, those comparisons, all that fun jazz. We also have a giveaway tomorrow, 11 a.m. on the channel. So check that out. It's going to be pretty awesome. Some really, really nice stuff to win. That's all I have to say. You have to wait till then. And I think that's pretty much it. And you can join me later on Boored. We'll be talking Justice League trailer and all the comic book stuff there at 6 p.m. today. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Check out all the channels. Check out Mr. Juan Bagnell from Pocket Now. You can find his videos there, commentary, and more of his revolutionary hats as well. And you can check him out on Some Gadget Guy, his personal YouTube channel, where he has some really cool content and stuff, as he mentioned. You know, it's not updated every week, but when it hits,
I got a couple. So we did a 360 office tour this last week. You can see the entire gadget lab in.
Oh, it's in 360. Oh my god.
Well, it was either. I mean, like if I shot it traditionally, then I would have had to have done a whole bunch of editing. In 360, I can just like walk around and like point to things.
Have you tried using Power Director's the latest one? You can actually reformat your 360 into planar. You can grab selected shots that you want. I'm just saying.
Oh, see, that I need to play with. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. That sounds cool.
Okay. And Mr. Warren Bowman from BW1.com. Check him out. His channel. It's got some really cool content. He will be also at the S8 event. So all of us will be there partying, drinking,
doing stuff.
You know, recording
Not
video.
Coke.
All that stuff. Oh, Fanta. Actually, it will be Fanta. But you can check him out at bw1.com on YouTube, as well as also on Twitter. And myself, Thunder E, Booredatwork. It's Booredatwork on YouTube and Twitter. Thank you very much, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Damn.
Wait, okay.